and welcome to Saving People, Queering Things, the supernatural podcast where Bobby is actually a much better father figure than Professor X. Today we're pulling up to Season 5, Episode 6. I believe the children are our future. I'm your host, Noah, and joining me today are my co-hosts, Sam and August. How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Yeah?
Excited to be here.
Good.
This is a fun one.
This episode was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, especially the direct superhero references.
Yes.
It was a blast.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things in this episode. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Bobby specifically being labeled as a superhero also feels important to me.
It does. Bobby's presence is felt in this episode, despite the fact that he's not in this episode.
The brothers and how they treat this child that they found is very reminiscent of how Bobby treats them. So
yeah, maybe a little glimpse of maybe what it was like when they were kids.
Well, now that we've broken your hearts and you've met the hosts, it's time to catch you up. If you haven't watched Supernatural recently, here's what you've missed on the road so far. First up, I'm going to recap the show so far.
You're up, Noah. You tell me when and I
got this. I got this. I'm ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the two brothers are raised from birth to hunt these monsters and fight all these demons and whatnot, but their dad was really leading them down a different path that he was led on by everybody else, apparently, because the brothers are destined to become the vessels of these two angels in this cataclysmic war leading to the apocalypse of everything. In between all that, they meet Castiel. Dean falls in love. Sam is cursed constantly in romance, but they're still trying their best to make it there to the end alive.
Amazing.
Fell off. I didn't want to say
like the
cursed penis in my. I didn't want to do that.
Not in the recap, at least.
No.
Save it for the episode discussion. Let people get into the episode, a few minutes before we're dropping the heavy lore.
Tried to start at the beginning, and then that got caught way too much, and so I had to use that to connect to the season.
It was great.
All of that to say, now it's Sam's turn to recap this week's episode. Are you ready?
No, never.
You love this episode, though. You said you've seen it many times. So
many times.
I do love this episode. Doesn't mean I love the recap. That's all right. We're going to power through.
You got this. I'll give you a little countdown.
As ready as I'm going to be.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the brothers are investigating this town where the lies that you tell your kids are all coming true. And they discover that it's coming from this boy who is half human, half demon, but he doesn't know that he's doing all this. And then Cass gets involved. He wants to kill him. The kid miniaturizes him. And I'm out of time.
You hit the important parts.
The kid survives.
And then the kid disappears. He survives.
He survives.
Do we even hear from him again?
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get to talking about the lore of it all in this episode.
Yes.
Before we get into how this all connects and how it's all a jumble, it's time for us to pick some music to accompany us on this week's journey. Here's what we've got. Sam, did you want to go first?
Okay, my mixtape pick this week is Lie, Lie, Lie by Joshua Bassett.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it just talks about like lying and
My pick this week is Happy Endings by Mike Shinoda. That's a fun little ditty about if I'm imagining all these happy endings anyway because nobody really gets one. Why can't I imagine myself to be the hero and better than I could ever really be? And I feel like that kind of fits Jesse's whole power set.
Yeah.
August, how about you?
Okay, my pick is We Don't Believe What's on TV by 21 Pilots.
that's good.
Yeah, it's a song all about, belief and also what we want, we know we can't believe. We've all learned to kill our dreams. Just thinking about, the crashing realization of Jesse in this episode that he's not just a normal kid. He's not just having strange things happen around him. There's something, everyone's been lying to him his whole life, basically.
Constantly.
And the whole world is not the same after this revelation. And that's my pick.
Damn, love it. Strong selection this week. But now that we've got our mixtape playing, it's time for this week's hunt Today we are exploring the 6th episode of season 5. I believe the children are our future.
So if you've been listening so far in season 5, you know that we are using tarot cards, specifically the Supernatural Tarot deck, to help guide us into some of the themes. And this week is a card from the Major Arcana. It is card number 11, the Justice card. And this is actually the character on the Justice card is a character we have not yet been introduced to. So I'm going to omit certain parts of the information on the card so as to not spoil things for Noah. But it's the Justice card. So that's going to play into this, I think, thematically really well. And that's a lot of the theme we're even taking from this. So the tarot card Justice advises you to check in with your own moral compass and make sure you're acting in accordance with your values. It advises you to make sure you are valuing yourself, getting what you're owed, and that you're treating others fairly in return, which is, I think, very, very fitting for this, this week's episode and specifically the character of Jesse. And I'm excited to talk a bit about, is what happens to Jesse expression of justice or not, and how, and let's use that as we talk today.
Very nice. I mean, I really enjoyed Jesse as a character. He was fun, and it was an entertaining concept. A kid with the powers of better than anything we've ever seen so far.
Yeah, Jesse's this is a big lore drop here today.
Yeah, pretty significantly. The Antichrist being anybody or any demon human hybrid child. Very interesting. I also shout out to the actor who played Jesse.
Yeah.
Gatlin Griffith.
Very good actor for how young he is.
He killed it. Every single scene. I was impressed.
Yeah, he's very good. Gatlin Griffith, and he was pretty young when he took this role. And
still lived up to the hype, followed through. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Are we doing this? Are we getting right into the episode now?
Let's do it. What was your highlight?
I always love episodes where we see the brothers interact with children, because they both come at it very differently, and I think it's just really interesting to see them interacting. And there was a lot of connections that they had with Jesse in different ways. Sam, they both have the connection of parents being absent, having to make their own lunches, and then Sam has the connection of being perceived as a monster. And then we see Dean have this cute little superhero moment,
little metaphor going you're not, he doesn't go for I'm not gonna tell you immediately that you are a supernatural being. I'm just gonna say you're a superhero because that's accessible to a 9-year-old.
Nice little middle ground.
That doesn't sound as scary as you might have, demon powers.
You are a demon spawn. Yeah. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, here.
There's smoother ways to go about it.
I feel like Dean often does that with children. He often tries to connect with the whimsical, imaginative side of childhood. Yeah. And I think that's really sweet because Dean has this that in him.
I think Dean pulls from what he wishes he had. Yeah. Which story he wishes he had gotten from his parents. I mean, we find out I don't know, I can't remember at what point he says, I think it's in season 2 or something that he says, I always wanted to be a firefighter when I grew up. The idea of being a hero, of that sort of childhood fairy tale sort of narrative is one that he never got. He didn't get that. Mary dies when he's so young. He doesn't get that from John, but he does like to do that with kids he encounters.
Powerful.
Yeah. And Sam always has this very different approach. Sam often has the hard truth. Just be honest with them.
Because that's what Sam wanted as a child. That's what Sam didn't get. Sam got everyone lying to him into not even just not telling him the truth, but Sam got people actively being oh, there's nothing happening, or there's or just omitting any information about his life.
Yeah. Dean hitting Cass with the whoopee cushion.
Oh my God.
It's fucking phenomenal.
Dean is so
he was so proud.
Shout out to Misha's holding of that straight face, that deadpan look through that whole moment.
I could never. It was so long. It was just
very good.
The sheer confidence with which Dean zaps Sam with the little finger zapper after convincing Jesse that they meant nothing. He assumes that Jesse was the key to it all so fast and just zaps Sam with it. No biggie. Sam's face.
He's just like grunt.
So mad.
Oh yeah,
So
he's like,
funny.
I won't say it in front of the child. I'm not going to like cuss you out right now, but I would really like to.
Oh yeah,
That
very
was a
bad.
big swing. It's also a very characteristic, like Dean being like, I have a hunch, and
It better be real.
better be right. Yeah, the Winchesters, because Sam has done this before too. I think about back in like Route 666 with the racist truck.
Mm.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
Sam does the same thing where he's just like he
Have a hunch.
gambles on like,
Mhm.
I think this will work. If it doesn't, Dean is definitely dead, but it works. Winchesters get lucky a whole lot.
A whole lot. But hey, glad they did. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you anticipate what Jesse was like prior to the reveal, Noah? Or like how were you like processing through this episode? Because obviously
I wasn't quite sure what Jesse was. Honestly, I thought he was half angel, half human.
okay.
That's my
Oh,
biggest theory.
interesting.
Because of the
But-
whole like warping, manipulating reality kind of
Yeah,
thing.
he's got crazy ass powers, and he's, they were very shifty about his heritage, and so it was not a lot of options.
Yeah, and it seems it's always interesting to me that like a human demon, like a human and a demon having a kid means it's more powerful. Like that kid, they are more powerful than a demon.
Or a human could be. So it's like it
Mhm.
hits higher than both of their potentials.
Like something about like human and demon means that the combination is it's very interesting because it's not like diluting the demon. It doesn't dilute the demon powers. It actually just like amplifies them.
Which, if demons are made from tortured humans, then it's kind of just human on human.
That's really, really good. Yeah, the logistics of how this works and why, like Jesse's powers, like I was looking at a list when I was kind of reviewing for this episode, and like, okay, so some things he has. He is able to warp reality.
Yep.
He has biokinesis, where he, gives children like affects people's like biology, conjuration, transformation. He turns cats into the action figure.
Which, sorry, can we talk about that real quick? Because
Yes,
literally last
Cats is-
episode, I was going off about how it's crazy how some things have the ability to transform into inanimate objects. The literal next episode, Cass
Yep.
gets turned into
Yeah.
an inanimate object.
To an action figure of all things.
Oh
too.
my god. Beautiful.
I really wanted to see them play that out a bit more. It's such a funny like moment.
Yeah, they
Like-
could have done so much more with Dean and
He had Cass in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to see Cass, your Dean's driving the Impala and there's a little mini Cass just like sitting on the dashboard, just waiting till eventually he comes back to normal.
Oh god.
I want to see it on his night. I want to see little Cass at his nightstand, like watch, the whole, we've got that a couple episodes ago. Like, I'll just wait here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Easy. Sorry. Okay. And what other powers does
Okay.
Jesse have?
He has terrakinesis, so then he causes because he's ability to manipulate the land because he causes a minor earthquake. Demon control and exorcism just with his
Immediate.
voice, which is wow.
Mad impressive.
He's concealed from angels, humans, and demons unless he wants to be found. Telekinesis, teleportation. Cass says he could go anywhere with just a thought, and clairsentience. So he's able to sense what happens to everyone in the town, and he goes and fixes it all. So that's a long list of
he's
powers.
fucking powerful.
Yeah.
It's possibly the most powerful being we've really met up to this point.
Well, besides one.
Besides, yeah. But in terms of explicitly
Yeah.
powerful beings, we the angels don't have all of these abilities. They have a lot of them, but they don't have all of them.
And he is a child and not even aware of he hasn't had any practice.
No training.
Imagine what he can do when he learns how to control things more
Yeah.
and better.
Which is
Because
sort
he
of the
doesn't even
point.
know he's doing half the things he's doing.
Right. He's just acting out his own reality. It's just that he acts out his own reality and it becomes reality.
Imagine if he just ends it when he starts just trying to do the things.
Okay, I'm curious about this, and maybe you'll have an opinion on it, but his range seems to be the town. It's not all over the country. People who believe in the Tooth Fairy are experiencing the Tooth Fairy. It seems to be a range in just the town.
Since we said the words tooth fairy, he was in psych. Just
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course
so
he was.
I do think that his range doesn't extend past the town, and currently, and this is maybe his
Currently, yeah.
maybe his subconscious range is lesser than his conscious range.
Or maybe it's has to do with that's the only reality that he knows.
He hasn't traveled anywhere.
Like he hasn't, like the town is all he knows.
Right, that's
So
the only
that's
thing
all
important
he's
to him.
controlling because that's the only that he knows even exists.
Right, well, because he doesn't, or just like doesn't care
That's all he
about the
cares
world
about.
beyond
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
they're irrelevant because they're no one, like everyone he knows lives in this bubble.
Yeah, so that would be the only
Ooh.
ones that he would want to, that would be on his mind.
Yeah, that he even would.
Because his powers of like being hidden extend everywhere.
Yeah, it blocks him from everywhere, but that's not necessarily
It's not a
everywhere
conscious power.
It's him,
Yeah, that's true.
like around him,
And it's not a conscious power. He's not trying to hide himself until the end of the
No.
episode.
and he's
But
not
he is.
hiding the effects of his actions. So that's the big giveaway. So once he starts doing stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, based on like all of those powers, it's interesting because Cass comes in and is like, yep, this kid's the Antichrist. He's going to work with Lucifer.
Gotta get killed.
It's interesting. Like, this is not, okay, so this is not the first character that has in this show been called the Antichrist.
Nope.
Most notably,
Sam Winchester.
Sam. Gordon's whole thing was Sam's the Antichrist.
Right, I forgot about that.
Which, I mean, vessel of Lucifer, sure. Antichrist?
Yeah. Well, and
Is
okay,
that a title or is that a role? I don't know.
Yeah, which is, I guess, a good, maybe that's the thing we don't really get an answer to in this episode. Is it's just sort of like he's the Antichrist, he's going to be Lucifer's kind of like, he's going to be one of Lucifer's weapons. Also, some interesting like lore related thing is like, in Christian tradition, Jesus is born to a virgin, and same with this kid. Like his mom's a virgin. She's possessed by a demon, which is also like begs a bunch of questions about like
conception.
I wonder,
they just skip past that. They really don't explain that at all.
So I also wonder, okay, so like child of like a human demon hybrid, basically. What would happen if you were like just a regular human and then a possessed human and they had sex? If they have a kid, does that also, or does it have to be in this specific way where like a demon got her pregnant, but like she was virgin? I don't have an answer to this. I'm curious as to what you two think about the like logistics of this.
I think it's gotta be a supernatural insemination. I think that's the only way, because I think possession sex is just bordering far too much on non-consensual anything.
I mean, yeah,
that is
obviously it's.
I would like to assume that yields nothing and is impossible. So
okay, interesting. Okay, yeah, because that's like the biggest thing with Jesse's conception is kind of unearthly.
Yeah. And I mean, in the prophecies for an Antichrist, he does require a virgin birth because it's supposed to be like the second coming of Christ and all. So if they're trying to make an Antichrist, that's the best way to do it.
Oh, but the thing is, they're trying to, but again, kind of like with Sam, like you have this kid that doesn't come, like, this is not like they find out about Jesse because he's like intentionally causing a bunch of harm, like killing a bunch of people. Like he's not acting evil. They find him because he's kind of accidentally hurting people just because of his powers. Similar, like, Sam also demonic influence, but is not inherently more drawn to evil or evil actions. And that, like, the question with Jesse is like, is it inevitable? Like, that's the thing. Cass seems to believe that it is inevitable. Like, this kid will end up on Lucifer's side, which is interesting because he doesn't seem to feel that way about Sam
anymore.
True.
But he doesn't seem to think for sure that he doesn't even entertain the possibility that they could like talk to the kid.
Not for a second. He's instant kill mode, which is interesting, but I feel like he's trying to pull out every stop he can because his search for God is not going super well.
Mm-hmm. And also there's a whole thing of like, he really believes that, he says, with a word, this child will destroy the host of heaven. Like he seems to believe that Jesse could, just with a word, kill all of the angels, which...
Baffling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The amount of power that would require.
That sounds almost like more powerful than Lucifer, which, again, I'm not quite sure of the hierarchy here.
But it sounds like God level powers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's so powerful and such like a potential weapon for the demons to use, why doesn't this happen more?
This is another very good question.
Why don't they just like make a bunch of babies?
They don't touch on that at all, but I imagine it's like a difficult process to start creating life. If it's, via supernatural insemination, is probably pretty tough.
I wonder if there's also not a high survival rate. Like it feels like you like carry like that kind of a powerful being. Maybe it's only like maybe the amount of humans that actually could like do that, like whose bodies could handle that, is limited.
It's a pretty long-term possession too. 9 months is a long time.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the note we were saying about Cass, the quote, like when Cass talks about, or Sam's pitch is, we tell him the truth. If he's destined to go dark side, we tell him and he might make the right choice. And Cass just like dead eye looks at Sam and goes, you didn't.
He hesitates. He waits for a second and then says, but you didn't, motherfucker. Which you're already thinking this. I'm just going to say it. So,
as much as Sam, I think Cass does believe Sam's on the right track now, he's also like, we can't risk, if Jesse goes dark side, we can't risk it.
Consequences would be too severe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, cosmic. Mm-hmm. I want to say, Dean says about the Cass figure when he like picks it up, he says like, truth is, he's kind of a buddy of mine. He goes to Jesse and he's like, please give me Cass back. He's kind of my buddy. He's just confused. He wasn't trying.
He doesn't say friend, he says buddy.
Yeah, it's a little term of affection.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From the way that he like picks him up and holds him.
And it's not like this is our friend. It's like, this is my buddy. My buddy. Mm-hmm. Can you bring my buddy back, please?
He's my little guy. Can you make him a guy again?
You can't tell me though that Dean doesn't kind of want to put that little Cass figurine in his pocket and just carry him around.
Just walk right out.
I wish the figurine could talk. That would have been a good addition too. It was like a little living figurine. Well, just a little mini Cass.
Yeah, like Night at the Museum.
Oh yeah. Like if he had just miniaturized him.
Yeah, exactly. Just
instead of turned him into it.
They did not have the budget for that.
That is true. That is true. This kid really gets the short end of the stick. Like, and he gets it too. Like they say, there's a war between angels and demons. You're a part of it. And he just says like, I'm just a kid. And like,
ugh, your heart just rips in half right there.
Yeah. You are just a kid. His argument is solid. Like he is just a kid.
The way Sam is like, yeah, I know. And it sucks. It's not fair. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really like how Sam and Dean how they talk to Jesse. At the same time, I also hate it because they do very much present it as like, there is no other option. Like they have the same conversation with Jesse that they had with Jimmy in season 4. But the difference was like Jimmy is a full ass adult who can like make this choice and fully understand the consequences. Jesse is like a 9-year-old who's like being faced with the same kind of like, you have to say goodbye to your family. You have to leave everything you know. You have to go on the run. And otherwise you might otherwise the world might end and it might be your fault.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's like pretty fucked up that they're telling this 9-year-old the same speech they gave Jimmy. It's pretty fucked up.
Oh, God.
I don't know what else they could have done, but
there's no easy answer, no easy way out.
So I did really want Bobby's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Oh my
gosh.
Bobby's School for Gifted Youngsters would be such a great school. Unstoppable.
If anyone could do it, like if anyone could rehabilitate / protect these, powerful beings, keep them from going evil, give me Bobby.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have loved to see them like take Jesse to Bobby and have them interact a little bit.
Yeah. I want to know what that phone call was like to Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's making me think of like what other like supernatural beings so far could be at Bobby's school.
There'd probably be a few werewolves.
Yeah.
Vampires. We've had a few stories about them. turning away.
Yeah, some of the ones that are like before they really go
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah.
Not a
We
lot
know a
of,
lot
I
about
mean,
vampires.
if any of the demon children had been revealed, survived.
Oh, if he could have had the special children. Imagine if he had gotten to have like Andy and Ava
Jake.
and Jake. Oh, and the one
funny
that went
one?
real bad, the one that killed his Andy's twin.
Yeah, that one. We remember.
I
Tweet
don't
at us
remember
to
his
make sure
name.
y'all
Yes.
remember.
I don't remember his name.
I don't remember either.
It'd
Bobby
be a
has
great-
such a great spinoff. Is that what you're gonna say?
It'd be a great spin-off. Bobby's got the chemistry for it.
Bobby's got the like grumpy caretaker energy of Professor X without some of the pretension.
Without some of the overbearing life manipulation to certain extents and mind erasure.
Yeah, Bobby's not going to go into their minds and fuck around.
Yeah, they did go into his ones, so it kind of tracks.
That's true. Okay, where do you think Jesse goes? Because like
he
he
goes
just
to
like
Australia.
poofs. Okay. Okay. Why?
Well, wait. First of all, doesn't it show? I feel like it totally shows.
Did it?
Did it show where Jesse was?
I thought so. No, it
I
doesn't.
think it ends with the
No, he
brothers
just-
in the car.
He just disappears. He goes up to say goodbye to his parents.
Yeah, because he's 9. Like, he doesn't even know.
Yeah. So I'm like, is Jesse just going and like living his life? Does he just go and like transplant himself somewhere and hope that the demons don't ever find him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Had to.
Goes and makes lunch for himself somewhere else,
Not a
all by himself.
This poor kid.
It's really sad.
heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
He's a strong, independent kid.
Oh yeah, the one other conversation I wanted to hear what you two thought of was the one that Sam and Dean have at the end of the episode in the car when they talk about
The more
Yeah.
I think about it, the more I wish Dad lied to us a little bit more.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most honest they've been with each other in a while. And
Yeah. And it's the most they've talked about John in a while,
yeah,
you know?
and it's not necessarily wholesome.
No, I mean, Dean is the one that like from really young knew about hunting. And, he says, I get why parents lie to their kids. You want them to go to bed feeling safe. And sometimes that means lying to them. And then he says, I wish Dad had maybe lied to us a little more, which is like, yeah, it's him questioning if maybe it would have been better if they had like been less prepared, but had felt like they had a slightly safer childhood.
Mhm.
Which like wouldn't have made their childhood any safer, but
No,
Yeah. But he did that for Sam.
he tried.
To a certain extent. Yeah, he tried.
as much as a child can lie
Sorta.
to another child.
Yeah.
He tried really hard. Yeah, to shield Sam from all of the realities of their situation.
Sorry, I remembered why I thought it was Australia. Because
Why?
whenever he goes up to the room alone, he sits in his bed and stares at the wall and is staring at a
there was
poster
a poster.
that's in Australia.
So
Then he's gone.
Yeah, that's a good guess. That's a
honestly,
good theory.
if we are gonna go with, I think that we have more evidence for that than any other place that he could have gone.
He is.
He goes and lives out his days in Australia.
For now.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, this is a very powerful being to just sort of like end the episode on.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
Mm.
I really liked this episode. I liked what they were doing with the theme. Like when you're thinking about that theme of like justice, it isn't really just that Jesse, just based on his like just based on his, how he was born, is destined to be, quote unquote, destined to be evil and like shouldn't die just because of like who he is. Yeah, I thought this episode hit pretty hard.
Yeah, it does. He, just because of his birth circumstances, he's thrust into this terrible position.
I was very unresolved by the end. Like, it's not a happy ending. Like, yes, he doesn't like die, but it's not a happy ending.
No.
And Sam and Dean you can tell they feel very unresolved with it. Like, they do not feel like Sam even says at a certain point, like, we're supposed to be the good guys here.
We don't kill children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bare minimum.
Yeah, and they're not even able to protect this kid. Not only like they don't kill him, but they're not able to protect him either.
He does all the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem to need that much protection, honestly.
Nope.
No,
Just-
but they really feel for him because they have that personal experience as well.
It's a great connection for them.
Mhm.
Okay, now we can slide right into our going meta section. where we are tracking lore, representation, behind the scenes trivia, and more. First up, we've got our representation check. Rep check.
Jesse's a fun kid representation. I do think he like freaks out a lot less than a real child would.
Yeah, he's got his shit together.
Yeah, he comes very calmly to the conclusions that he comes to.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense in an episode, but I don't know how realistic a normal 9-year-old would be about that.
We had representation of a terrible child at the beginning with Jimmy asking to touch his babysitter's boob, which was just
that whole trope is
disgusting.
Yeah, the babysitter.
It really does nothing for this. Like, it does nothing for the story. It just is gross,
unnecessary. Hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the coloring. Okay, this is not a representation note. This is just a note on like the coloring in this episode is wonkers. Like, I do not understand it. It's so funny. It's so dark. It's so like there's a bunch of like filters on it. I feel like we've gone back to some early seasons where just the coloring is kind of bad. It's very gloomy. Like, I think tonally it kind of works with the story, but it also like I felt like I couldn't see stuff, which I'm calling Jamie right now and being like, I can't see what's happening. But I wanted to point that out because I thought it was an interesting filming choice that was also not consistent through the whole episode. So maybe it was just me, but it was a little strange. That's not representation though. That's just
it was a fun fact. We throw those in all the time.
That's a fun fact. There we go. Yeah. It's a filming related thing. We don't pass the Bechdel test because
Julia is a named woman character, but all she talks about is her son. So
how do you feel about her as a character, both of you?
Not super great. She didn't have a lot of screen time as herself. She just got possessed halfway through and abused the whole rest of it.
I wish we got more of her backstory.
Yeah, honestly.
Or what happens to her at this point?
Where does she go? Is she just knocked out and they just leave her there? And
that seems like that would end badly for her because there's certainly the demons are going to be after her. Like, she's going to be in more danger than Jesse is because Jesse can protect himself
and hide.
But don't you think that they would leave her alone because they're like, you don't have any use to us anymore? Because she doesn't know where Jesse is.
Maybe.
How do they know that though?
They might also feel like she's a good lure to get to him.
That's true.
I would be worried about her for those reasons, but I'm sure the Winchesters are at least going to make sure she has like an anti-possession tattoo because
Okay, check this out.
One of those.
Go get this
bare minimum.
But besides that, not a lot of great things for representation this episode.
No.
So get this. I was looking into the lore. And I mean, I feel like most of our discussion today was about lore.
It's a very lore heavy episode.
This I am gonna like rip the band-aid off and go and pull out I'm gonna pull out our lost cannon jar because it belongs here this episode. Jesse, this is the only time we're gonna see Jesse. Jesse is a one-off.
Being for real?
I am being for real.
Genuine, serious?
I am genuine serious. I am not fucking with you right now. They really created this character, created this a massive amount of lore, this incredibly powerful character, and we will not see him again. He fucks off to Australia or wherever he goes, and he is gone.
Yeah, apparently he doesn't wreak havoc at all. We don't hear about him at all. He just disappears.
Firmly in the lost cannon jar. Like I have questions.
Just so disappointing.
Questions because there's
significantly disappointing. Wow. Okay.
They could have done so much.
Yeah.
Well, the whole idea of a human demon child is like a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Something they've been building on basically since the start.
Well, yeah, like it's in a smaller sense, like from Sam, we've been building on like that.
He's a human demon hybrid, but what would it be if it was a hybrid a step before?
Yeah, and it's not just like the addition of demon blood, but you're actually like sad to say that.
Wow,
this is Jesse's one and only appearance.
That's so frustrating.
I know. It's super. I'm sorry, Supernatural sucks sometimes now. Thought if you were going to be waiting for that as a crucial. That's part of this season.
It's great to stop my expectations there.
Yeah, the Lost Cannon jar is getting pretty full. these days.
And we're only on season 5. Any other little trivia from this one? We mentioned all the superhero stuff. We're good there.
What are the agents that they are this episode?
They used agents Page and Plant.
Okay, yeah, so that's Led Zeppelin, guitarist, vocalist. They've used these aliases before. I mean, obviously, we know Led Zeppelin is Dean's favorite band, so
Ooh.
yeah, bedtime stories.
Bedtime Stories being the other one they used it on is kind of cool.
Yeah, another
Oh, that is cool.
similar kind of
childlike themes across
fairy tale.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, but see, now that just begs the question: did they know that going into it?
Are these their we're kind of in a children's story aliases?
Work with children aliases.
Interesting.
That's funny. They make a crack at Twilight. The Conjurarium owner makes a crack at kissing vampire movies.
That was really
we get a Cavity Creeps, which is like a reference to like a really old Crest commercial that Dean makes from the 70s and 80s, which would have been like commercials he would have grown up watching, which is funny.
Love that.
Yeah, the title is from Whitney Houston's song, which is cool. Again, following the tradition of these titles having song lyrics as titles.
Yeah. A direct Babe call out with the That'll Do Pig.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which also Australian movie. I think that you're really onto something, Nah.
Definitely went to Australia.
Yeah.
We'll tell Beth and Jamie to keep an eye out.
Oh, also, I'm seeing this. I was like doing a little bit of research, and according to Eric Kripke, Jesse's actually inspired by the character of Adam from Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's Good Omens. So that's interesting. Some of the characteristics of Jesse come from that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah, it's very Kripke sort of thing he likes to pull from his modern mythical pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the X-Men reference as well.
Yeah. Yeah. X-Men, Superman, quite a few different.
Yeah. All the superheroes.
I think it's great that I think it's a nice touch that Jesse does with the X-Men. Because again, the X-Men are mutants. The X-Men are like
outcasts.
Yeah. Very specific type of superheroes. Like they're not the big lauded ones. They're often the ones that are weird and
they start as teenagers, so they start awkward and figuring out their powers just like Jesse.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That brings us to our final section of the episode. Character to watch. What do you guys think? Who's got something cooking for the future in this episode? I'm going to go ahead and pick Jesse.
Seems very fitting.
He's definitely got something cooking. He should.
Oh, yeah. I want to go with Jesse's mom. Julia, I believe is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that she manages to find her way out, and I hope that that works out for her because he's been through the ringer a little bit in this episode.
Yeah, and 9 years ago. Yeah, it's been one long nightmare, so she deserves that something good in the future.
Yeah. I think my character to watch would be Cass, because he seems to be on this very interesting journey, and he was quite harsh this episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's right down to business.
Yeah, and I think that does have something to do with just he feels like he's losing the fight.
Starting to feel desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Can't find God.
Yeah.
He's all on his own.
Yeah, he's struggling. He's having a hard time.
And he gets turned into an action figure for a while. It's okay. Is he, when he's an action figure, do we think that he is like, is it just like he blips out? Or is he like sentient? Does he experience like what it feels like to be an action figure that can't speak and is just tiny?
That'd be hilarious.
Is he? I think it's Toy Story, At that point, he's sitting there and he can't move his legs.
But he knows what's happening. He's aware.
Right.
He got excited because Dean picked him up.
We missed all of the opportunities to make
There's a joke with Dean's palm being hairy and him holding Cass there. There's a joke there.
Yeah, we follow Toy Story rules. Cass gets to experience it, and later on he can ask Dean about it.
Dean will give him the lowdown for real. That's all for today. Thanks for coming on, guys. It was fantastic. It was a great time. This was a really fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good
discussion.
one. Thanks for hosting today, Noah.
Oh, anytime.
Make sure you are subscribed to Saving People Queering Things wherever you listen to podcasts and to share our show with your friends. You can find links to our social media and join our Discord server through our website, queeringthingspodcast.com.
And if you are all caught up on Supernatural and you want to go back to before the beginning, you can listen to myself and Elena, along with our friends Beth and KJ, over at Wayward Parents, where the entire first season is out. And we are also putting out a final season 1 recap. Will either be out or will be coming in the next few days. So you can follow that show at Wayward Parents on Twitter or on Tumblr at Wayward Parents Podcast.
Be sure to ride along with us next week as we explore Season 5, Episode 7, The Curious Case of Dean Winchester.
Thank you all for coming along for the ride, and we wish you a peaceful road until we meet again.